Salutations, folks. Welcome back to the channel. If you would, and if you're digging the content, please don't forget to subscribe on your way out or your way in, however you prefer it. But anyway, today I'd like to talk to you guys about a game that's been out a little while now on the PlayStation 5, the Callisto Protocol. This is a game that was made by a few of the Dead Space developers, and any of you people that have played Dead Space or the current remake of Dead Space know that it is an awesome game. Well, Callisto Protocol came out before the remake of Dead Space came out. So a lot of people, knowing that this was going to be made by the Dead Space devs, they were really hoping for another kind of recreation of that original game. Me, myself included. I was severely looking forward to this game, and I went under it with the notion of thinking it was going to be something like Dead Space. Well, when the game finally came out, of course we all know it's nothing like Dead Space. You've got the atmosphere, the health system where it's shown on your back but on your neck instead of your back. Some of the weapons kind of remind you the same of Dead Space a little bit, although they're not as good at all as Dead Space. But the ambiance, shall we say, is, Dead Space. But this game showed up and caught some serious flack. And that's kind of what I want to talk about, is I think the flack is kind of unwarranted in a way. If you're like me, and you came along during the first three, yeah, they were great. So we kind of expected more of that. Well, we didn't get that, like I said earlier, but I feel like that's no reason to hate on the game so much. Does the game have its qualms? Yes. The weapons. The weapons aren't that hot. I don't dig them at all. The melee combat. The game is pretty much all melee combat. You have some weapons, but they are to be used in conjunction with the melee combat. That really sucks in my opinion. I do not like that at all. But is that so much of a horrible thing that it makes the whole game a pile of poo? No, not to me. I'm a decent ways into the game now. I've been playing it off and on for quite a while, and I find myself when I pick it back up, I still enjoy playing it. It's still fun. I think the hate that it's catching by the mainstream out there is because everybody wants Dead Space. Well, if you want Dead Space, go play Dead Space. This is another game entirely, and it shouldn't be judged on the fact it was made by the same people that did Dead Space. It's not the same game. That would be like asking Rockstar to make every game they do just like GTA. Of course, now that's all they do, but I mean, even though Red Dead does have a lot of similar elements to GTA, they're still two vastly different games that are great. And I feel like these guys aren't being given that opportunity like we do with other companies. It's a good game in its own right. It shouldn't even be compared to Dead Space. And like I've said earlier, it does have its problems, and I agree with a lot of people on the combat kind of sucks on it. You can get ganged up on pretty easy in the game. If you're beating the snot out of one enemy, well, you've got another guy beating the snot out of you in the back, and it's not very fluid in switching from front to back and stuff like that. But that's the thing with it. But you do have options in the game to correct some issues, say frame rate. You can do 30 frames per second or 60, with the whole performance versus graphics thing they do in all the games nowadays. But that's just kind of a little bit what I want to say about the game. Not really get off on too much of a crazy tangent about it. I just don't understand why it's catching the kind of slack that it is. I mean, the game went from full price down to just dollars and cents overnight because people throwing it under the bus so much. I think as consumers, we are setting our expectations a little too high on stuff with these modern games. If you're going to command $70 for a game, sure, you should be, shitting rainbows. But some games, like a Callisto Protocol, it came out, they realized what they had done, it wasn't that great. They did drop the price. I feel like it sits now at a fair rate for what it is. And therefore, it shouldn't garnish the kind of hate that it garnishes now, because it's at a price point to where, you get what you pay for. But anyway, it's just a bit of a rant I have about this game because I dig it. I think it's cool. I think an injustice has been served on the game, and it's poor sales. And I hate when this happens to developers like this, because the poor sales end up just turning into them not making any more cool games, or going out on a limb to make a cool game because of the criticism and the lack of sales they may face for trying something different. And that's exactly what the Dead Space folks did, try to make something different, and now they're paying for it. Anyway, you guys have a good one. Please subscribe if you're digging the content, and let me know down in the comments what you think. Am I a buffoon for this statement, or do you get where I'm coming from with lay off? Not everything can be a God of War. Later.